This blog is dedicated to dissecting and deconstructing various aspects of what I call the disinformation industry. Today I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick, the standout quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and what's happening with him. He's a trending topic on Twitter. There's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about what's going on with him. And what is going on with him is that he's decided that he's not going to stand for the national anthem in protest of police brutality, particularly police brutality against black people and people of color. Now, I want to say I applaud Colin Kaepernick for making a stand on this issue, particularly making a stand on this issue with such a bold way. The national anthem is sacred in America, and by refusing to stand for the national anthem to make any kind of political statement is dangerous territory. You're inviting a hell of a lot of backlash, and you're endangering endorsements and all of that. So he's made the statement in a bold way, and I applaud him for that. However, I very much disagree with the point that he's trying to make, which is that police brutality is about the police versus black people. Now, Colin Kaepernick is biracial. His mother was white. But when he comes out and he makes a statement to explain why he's not standing for the national anthem, he says that bodies are in the street. Black people and people of color are being killed by the police. My question is, Colin, are you forgetting something? Are you forgetting something, Colin? Are you unaware of the fact, or do you just not care about the fact that hundreds of white people were killed by cops this year? Hundreds of white people are killed by the police every year. You're fucking biracial, man. Your mom's is white. And when you explain why you're not standing for the national anthem, your answer is that people of color and black people and people of color are being killed by the police? See, I give a fuck when any citizen, regardless of what race or ethnicity they are, is killed by a so-called officer of the police. It pisses me off when an unarmed black man is killed by the cops. I give a fuck when an unarmed Asian man is killed by the cops. It fucks with me when I hear about an unarmed Hispanic man killed by the cops. And I get pissed off when I hear about an unarmed white man killed by the cops. See, the problem of police brutality, it's simply not about black people. It's not a problem that people of color have to deal with. The problem of police brutality is something that the underclass of America have to deal with. The problem of police brutality is about the cops versus the underclass. Let me ask you, do you think that that the Los Angeles police are going to the Hollywood Hills, killing anybody whatsoever? There's plenty of black people that live up in the Hollywood Hills and that live in Brentwood and live in Westwood and Beverly Hills. But the cops aren't killing those black people. They're not killing nobody who lives over there because police brutality is about the police versus the underclass and keeping the underclass in check. Do you think the New York police are going to the Hamptons, killing the handful of black people that live there? No, they're not going to the Hamptons to kill nobody. They're killing nobody in the Hamptons because police brutality is not a problem that the privileged class has to deal with. In D.C., the cops are not going to Foggy Bottom and Georgetown. They're not killing nobody in those neighborhoods, black or white. And the reason is clear, because the privileged class does not have to deal with police brutality. It's the underclass that has to deal with police brutality. Now, I do realize that black people are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white people are. That's a fact. But that is a symptom of the systematic discrimination and the institutional racism that exists in America. When you have systematic discrimination and institutional racism, you're going to have a situation where black people are more likely to be killed by police and are looked at as more expendable by the system. And the reason that this is so important, the reason that I'm so serious about this problem and about the way that the what I like to call the disinformation industry has kind of skewed people's perspective on this issue is because I believe that in order to solve the problem of police brutality, or in order to solve any problem, people have to be clear-headed about the nature of the problem. You have to be able to see clearly what exactly the problem is. In fact is that people are profoundly confused about various issues. On the issue of brutality, people have far played up the racial aspect of that issue. The fact that white people are killed by police is completely ignored. The class aspect of the issue is completely ignored. And the same is true with so many other issues that we face. The racial issue, the racial aspect of crime, of failing schools, of teen pregnancy, of drug abuse, of poverty, income inequality, and of police brutality. The racial aspect of all of those issues is played way the fuck up. The fact that white people suffer from these same issues, not at the same rates that black people suffer from these issues, but the fact that white people suffer from those issues too is ignored, and we act like those issues only affect black people. And we ignore the fact that it would be far more true to say that people of the underclass, of which black people are disproportionately a part, it's people of the underclass, whether they be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, or what have you. It's the people of the underclass that are suffering from these issues as opposed to the people of the privileged class. See, fact is that it's easier to say, oh, it's because of the black people, and black people do this and they do that. Oh, and it's the white people's fault that this and that, and white people did this, and white people do that, and white people are this and that. It's easier to say that than to look at the real root of these problems. It's a little bit more complicated if you want to confront the class aspect of these issues. But it's important that we do, because I think if we don't really understand the true nature of these problems, then it's going to be that much harder for us to come to a solution. And as far as police brutality goes, it's important that we have a clear perspective of police brutality and understand the real nature of the problem, and realize that the problem is police brutality itself, not just police brutality against black people and people of color, as this fucking idiot Colin Keapernick says. Because when you have people who are confused about the nature of the issue of police brutality, what you end up with is dead cops in Dallas, because you have this dude with mental issues who's under the impression that black people and only black people are under attack from the police. And when people are confused about the true nature of the issue of police brutality, you end up with white people getting attacked by black people in Milwaukee during these riots, because people are under the impression that black people and only black people are under attack from the cops, so let's get revenge against whitey. Anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Message me, comment, also rate this video and subscribe to the disinformation industry, and I'll respond to some of your comments in a later segment.